This is Olson introducing his version of creative mathematics that I call Zen mathematics. There's certain understandings I have and perspectives that are the basis I feel of my work. I feel all in math art. I feel all expressions are or symbolic statements are as expressed are somehow true. The mathematician's job is to demonstrate how they are true. I don't feel there's anything wrong with current knowledge, but it's our knowledge of knowledge or our knowledge theories that are missing some information. I come up with many new applications with my work and understandings. I think the current knowledge paradigms, science, mathematics, theologies, earth science, information science, can all benefit from this added analysis and this new approach to mathematics. Uh, as currently expressed, symbolic expressions of expressions only give diminishing returns in their outcomes or understandings or knowledge outcomes. So I'm going to cover some math art here, introducing my methodology, and I'm going to cover some systems and or subsystems as expressed concepts, and also some expression outlines encapsulating what I'm trying to say with some of these understandings I have. Enjoy the show. This is them again, and I just want to introduce my next several slides on systems and or subsystems, objects, concepts, understandings behind all of my work in systems math, or so-called systems math. I get into the four behavioral components for any object or objects, and it's expressed completely or partially, and I want to go over that in the next several slides. It's to me, it's nothing new. It's just a systematic approach of a lot of other understandings we've utilized implicitly and explicitly with these concepts. So stay tuned for the next four slides so you won't get lost. Explanation of systems and subsystems concepts. Four behavioral components for any existential system or object. Every object has a functional context, every X, a system and no system functionality, any X, or f of X, mathematical f of X, or a non-stated functionality, non-X, and also a resultant intersecting functionality, sum of X. Next slide. Historical. These concepts have been used throughout known history. These terms have been to a large extent implicit in our understanding with theologies, knowledge theory, law, business, and economies. These and other understandings have laid claim to various portions of the system and or subsystem paradigm. Next slide. Current perspective on systems and usage. Science utilizes the system functionality portion of this paradigm. Theology still utilizes this paradigm for a principal system, but do not agree on the existence or the content of the behavioral components. Earthly disciplines, such as business, government, information sciences, utilize and recognize the behavioral components, but have not come to terms on any existential basis to these components. Systems and or subsystems as a dominant mathematical paradigm. Zen mathematics describes every object as possessing these behavioral components, including operations, numeric, unknown objects, and qualitative object and or objects. Now, every of these objects can be expressed as a system and or subsystem with varying existential results. Physical, qualitative time attributes, illness and death, are simply a partial system expression. Here we have the origin of these system components that I described in the following slide. Every x would be f of 1. Non-stated functionality, non-x would be f of 0. F of 1 and 0 would be the system or mathematical f of x or any x. Giving f of 1 and or 0 are systems and or subsystems component, intersection component. And these objects, f of 1 would be the source of these tenets. The arithmetic involved is not so important as the outcome. These tenets serve a useful outcome. We intuitively can figure out that this would be the outcome of f of 1 expressed as a complete system or operational or otherwise, but for behavioral components. And the next slide, I get into some of the important tenets and logic from this outcome that you will be interested in. This is an important outcome, this logic statement, that the expressions of f of 1 as either pseudo and or principal system would equal f of 0, f of 1 and 0, f of 1 and or 0 as pseudo systems, principal and pseudo systems, or just principal and or pseudo systems expressions would all give this logical result. It's an important, very important result for giving the viability of our knowledge systems. These are utilized in current contemporary knowledge systems, mostly implicitly and or explicitly. And as important is it gives the viability of all these theology and science paradigms when we talk about earthly paradigms. And I just want to note that there are other possible tenets from the expressions of these numeric objects, principally expressed numeric objects, and that is that these objects themselves can be expressed as in various objects combinations of 1, 2, 3, or 4, or all together as either multiple or some variation of multiple outcomes, giving different logic tenets. Very important to utilize. They're just not this logic tenet, and they can give this logic could be applied to a universe and person system, or universe and Apple system, or Apple and person system, government and people. This is all utilizable with those paradigms. And that's why they work, and sometimes they don't work because we don't exactly realize how we're using these. And so I guess that's all for now. I'm going to the math art section next. Zoom again. I'm just going to introduce the next several slides on expression outlines of pseudo and or principal expressions of my system and or subsystem as expressed paradigm. I feel, as my understanding, that these outlines encapsulize the explicit expression nature of all our knowledge paradigms, theologies, science, math, earth science, information science, economics, and government paradigms. All these earthly or otherwise paradigms can be found within these outlines, I feel. And I flesh out how we seem to discover new knowledge all the time, and it's always some portion of this variation of these expression outlines. So stay tuned to this also. Here I have a slide introducing the principal expression outline and the concept as a construct source also to knowledge. Now I've given myself a minute or a minute and a half to each slide. You could probably talk an hour on this slide and each of my other slides on these outlines to knowledge. but I'll just try to explain, outline my outline here. I have singular objects simultaneously expressed as multiple objects, paired objects, and a single object expressed simultaneously, as I said. And here the operational components, every x, any x, some x, non-x are not indicated, but as a principal expression source, they should be complete. And this I call a construct source or principal expression source, as opposed to a knowledge tree, kind of a source to all knowledge, and as opposed to the pseudo outline expression outline on the next slide, which I will go to now. Here is the pseudo or named expression outline and construct source. I call another name for this could be the tree of knowledge of good and evil. It's a source to a lot of existential and physical sciences laws. And here again, these multiple objects, paired objects, and singular objects are expressed simultaneously here this time, giving a singular objects. Now this could be characterized as an inverted expression from the principal expression outline on the prior slide, and also the pseudo-named expression outcome can be achieved by partial expression of system behavioral components, or the operational system components on the left, every x, any x, some x, and non-x. And they all give our variations to the tree of knowledge of good and evil. So I'll go on to the next slide. Here we have an outline of our indicating the variations possible in outline. The top one is a unknown or slash unknown slash known outline. The second expression is a complete system but unknown expression outline of operational or just expression outline. And the bottom third line, expression outline, shows the possible variations. This would give all the variations, giving all the knowledge variations, many of which we are aware of. Also, I wanted to show that the principal expression can be expressed also with the pseudo expressions. The two first slides can be expressed in one expression, and this would give a lot of known knowledge theories that we currently sort of recognize implicitly and explicitly, and they're very important to be aware of this option of in the mathematics expression outlines, giving knowledge sources that are contemporarily utilized and some that might not be so utilized implicitly and or explicitly. So go on to the next slide here. As a knowledge expression or a knowledge expression outline, these expressions can give new expressions, or as part of our the human intellectual domain of intelligent processes that I'm aware of. We are capable of making expressions of expressions of expressions, and this is a source to a lot of our knowledge paradigms and domains, principal expressions and or pseudo expressions. And we can also generate, as I say, new expressions, and here are some of them that we are known to have developed. The principal numeric objects are one of the outcomes of these expressions. 1, 0, 1 and or 0, 1 and 0. And other pseudo constructs, x, x unit x, x unit y, so forth, b, c, are pseudo outcomes of these expressions, outlines. And there are others, of course, that we may find and utilize and which are of interest to mathematics. Logic paradigms are pseudo and or principal expressions and their outcomes, and of logic, a principle within a pseudo expression might get some logic, or a pseudo within a pseudo expression might get some other logic. And numeric series, pseudo numeric series, or principal numeric series, or both together, partial and or complete expressions of numeric. Just a lot of interesting stuff for mathematicians and scientists. I don't know if scientists are too tuned into this right now, but I think they should be. So I'll go on to the next slide. I'm going to introduce here my math art series. I've often considered math art as a staple of Zen mathematics, my version of creative math. I started out with cartoons and math art drawings, and this is my method of coming up with some of the concrete materials, so-called, that I've come up with. And, as I say, uh, a basic foundation of my perspective is that all expressions, symbolic or artistic expressions, drawings, are somehow true. And as I say again, it's the mathematician's job to find out how they are true. And this is an important difference. So I'm going to I'll talk about in audio several of these math art pieces, and I have currently about 95 t-shirt designs, which I utilize for this presentation. I use part of them here in this presentation, and I think they're pretty interesting and very good. There's always more material you can get from these. That's why they're so interesting. That's why they're so useful. That's why they're so useful. This is, of course, titled IQ is Expressed. I have some other math art showing knowledge, IQ, intelligence math of systems and or subsystems, expressions, unions, intersections, or both of systems and or subsystems as expressed, and with various constructs and various variations of complete and or partial expressions. And this is just trying to show another portrayal of that mathematics, IQ mathematics, and let's look at it for a while. I have a principal one source in the brain, as the IQ source, as expressed, could be with Zen mathematics. I don't have no time to talk about it right now, and I just hope you enjoy this artwork. This, as I show, is math art called knowledge source. All these object expressions are expressed as operational systems or expression systems, complete or partial expressions, and it's just trying to give an outline or a knowledge source outline, expression outline. There are singular objects, paired objects, and multiple objects, and they can be expressed simultaneously or just partially. And I think I have your single, paired, and multiple objects. There might be other object, numeric object differences in the expression that I'm not aware of. I use the paired because I'm aware of principal numeric objects, 1, 0, 1 end or 0. You could also express those principal numeric objects together, and maybe get maybe 4 different objects of principal object expressions, and you should maybe vary this knowledge source expression outline with those. And but I do get a lot of mileage out of this outline. I document the source to all of our physical science paradigms: time, disorder, order, luck, death, non-event events, truth, false, can be easily documented with principal expressions of paired objects, singular objects, and multiple objects. And I think this indicates where this knowledge is coming from, and it's mathematical expression and probably not some physical domain. So next slide. I thought this was a humorous, witty characterization of mathematics versus Zen mathematics. I thought it would be appreciated by a lot of mathematicians. Numeric operational, no, operational expressions indicated in white as maybe complete systems or maybe in partial systems, expressed on a black background. Pretty cool way to say it. And the pseudo domain of primary colors. Within that, a pseudo domain of that as expressed with complete or partial operational expressions could give a form of Zen mathematics. And math light, it's called math light, and So, I think there's a lot more you can say about this interesting artwork, and I think other people will find a lot of other things to say about this. Okay. I submitted this to a joint math meeting math art exhibit, and I was denied, and I think people have a hard time relating to Zim mathematics, so they don't know anything about Zim mathematics or my paradigms, and so they probably looked at this and said, I don't think so, and it was rejected. And the other artwork exhibits were, of course, very arty and very artistic, but they probably I get interesting things from this from my knowledge of my own mathematics. Somebody with a pseudo expression brain is with variations of expressions, partial or complete, are looking at a statement or an object, and then somebody with some object is experiencing principal numeric one source to the object, and as opposed to maybe the other principal numeric sources, you know, and a poor question mark doesn't know what to think. uh, so, uh, so I just like looking at it. I think I can say even more about this also, but I'll go on to the next slide now. Now, I made this quite a while ago. I've been expanded on my ideas of numeric series as systems and or subsystems, and pseudo series or principal and or pseudo series of numeric systems. And I feel I thought when I first did this, I was thinking this is a good way to look at the origins of pseudo expression through this artwork, interpretation of such artwork like this. And I've done some work since then, and I still look at this and I'm not sure what I mean by it. But I think it's a very good take on that issue of origins of pseudo series, numeric, qualitative, time series, numeric and or qualitative time series, and as expressions of partial or complete expressions of objects or numeric objects, or the origins of numeric objects, and as expressed by humanity or whatever. So next slide. This particular artwork is a little more intuitively obvious in its interpretations. A lot of people, I think, as my interpretation. I use it on my banner. I'm going to use it on my banner and my DVD cover for the joint math meeting in Baltimore, Maryland, 2013 and 2014. And I thought it would be a quick communicator of some of what I'm talking about. Creative mathematics is a headline, and this shows the role of science and creative mathematics. It's more pseudo sometimes, origins to creative math, and principal expressions to pseudo math, to creative math. And I say here I have the tree of knowledge of good and evil as expressed, complete or partial, and science building on the knowledge paradigms, and basically continuing the tradition of pseudo expression, and the outcome here. I say think outside your box, and to think outside of my box, I'm thinking around the box instead of some other way. And so it's a pretty cool cartoon. I think other people will enjoy it also. This also is more intuitively obvious, at least to mathematicians anyway, about what I'm talking about. We talk about the center of the universe or is there a center of the universe, or a functional source, or functional center source to the universe? Is it geometric? I think the center to our universe, as expressed, is one numeric systems, one and or zero, as complete or partial systems. That is the true source, functional source to our universe. That's for any object, of course, any object and or objects. And that's how you think about it. That makes a lot more sense than how we think of a geometric time-space origin to our universe. We think of the debates between Galileo and the Pope, and I think they could have utilized some of this information back then to come to any conclusions. I call this expression F of 1 and or 0, the ruler of the universe, a different take on ruler of the universe. With no such expression, I think maybe there's no universe, maybe just God. And um, uh, so this is maybe a more true or exacting measure of the ruler of the universe as either God or certainly not a geometric source. Geometry is a partial pseudo derivative. It would just be a partial expression of this, which is okay. It's where our so-called universe, so-called, it comes from. I've just mentioned maybe too briefly ideas of space in my mathematics. I just thought it was kind of intuitively obvious. This is a source to all derivations of all different kinds of spaces, including universal cosmological space. And I probably should work on that some more, but here I have some artwork on that. Numeric objects, principal numeric objects, 1, 0 as expressed, gives an intersection of maybe a space or the universe space, as completely or partially expressed though, giving various intersections of planetary and stuff and giving us our space. And here I have plus minus, and it's just kind of an outcome of those expressions. A derivative. Space is a derivative of numeric system expression or partial expression. And, I know you can get into this very, 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 very seriously as in mathematics, and I just left it up to the reader to figure it out because you can go on forever with this. It's kind of a source for some of my ideas of transportation, reference mobiles. I have some thoughts on this and my flyers and so forth, PowerPoints, and outlining how you derive transportation modalities by expressing pseudo-systems plus principal system expressions in various combinations, and that's how you could derive transportation modalities of whatever space you want, I think. Here's a time clock, time/clock, existential time clock as a system and or subsystem expressed clock. I came up with this a long time ago, and I've developed some expressions to describe what this could possibly entail. The clock has principal numeric objects, 1, 0, 1 and or 0, 1 and 0, or combinations of those objects, giving variations of clock measurement, the time measurement, space measurement, generation, time within space measurement. So Einstein would have loved this, I think. He probably would have had his own take on this, but I think my take on existential items events clock is very good. It documents the sort where a lot of expressions for time come from that we know about in physics, time-space relativity. Prior outlines for space, time can fall within partial expressions of my system time outline. And so, I do have some very nice outlines, expressions of clock time, and I talk about those in my flyers and some presentations. And just wonderful. I mentioned the possibility of feed time, 1 and 0 as expressing pseudo expressions of 1, principal pseudo expressions of 1, or variations of those kind of principal object expressions, or pseudo object expressions, giving her amazing new results for time and space, or whatever space or whatever numeric sequence you want. And we can find them, I feel, all in our so-called universe, and physics would love this, I think. Here's some fruit math. I have another artwork on system components in various different math art matrix of operational systems, and this could be said to be a variation of that. And so if you think about the two together, as each of these fruit items having their own 4 behavioral components, you may get some additional meaning. Speaking of additional meaning, I feel that any complete expression, operational system or complete system expression is our source to so-called additional knowledge or additional information. Uh, Principal object expression gives additional information also. Other information is probably could be considered derivatives and maybe not so useful, maybe not reducible to a principal outcome, and not developable and reducible to principal outcome, which is a serious concern that I think science and earth science is not aware of. That This is an important tenet for viable knowledge systems, or it's where we get our physical law systems, or have at least a pseudo viability, maybe not principal viability, and it's an important tenet of any knowledge system that we want to develop. It might explain why some things kind of don't work out, and I'm going to continue explanation of this slide in next slide with expressed as A, B, C, D, representing 4 behavioral components instead of fruit. Now, I talk about non-functionality or non-events or falseness or failure, system failure or life and death, stupidity as a manifestation of pseudo and or principal expressions of the non-functional component, principal and or non-principal expressions. And I thought, what is it? How do we, what are we going to do about this interpretation of our earthly experiences, contemporary and otherwise? So I try to make a little systems flow chart, and we're talking about a lot of stuff when we say all these things that I just mentioned about non-events and stupidity, and categorizations of stupidity are maybe basically just stupid categorizations, and we need a more systematic approach. And here I have any given objects with just the non-functional component stated, and everything else open domain. And so what do you do with that? You say, thank you, Jesus. What do I do next? I look for principal expressions. Pseudo expressions are the source to all problems. Principal expressions are the source to all solutions. You can always limit the sources of pseudo expressions, but the solutions are from principal expressions. And so we don't want to go around stating all our problems because there are too many of them, and we're always going to find more, and that's why some people are aware of this phenomenon and some people aren't. A big concern in our economy, our country, and a lot of places, people need so-called jobs to gain sustenance, to have recognized the viability, economic viability. They must have a so-called job, and I think we need to work on that model a little more within my systems paradigm. I did a little work here, a state express system, a U.S. express system, and intersections giving a job system. And if we tinker, that's within principle 1 and or 0 object open domain system, and I don't think we even recognize that much. And there are many variations to this, and so if we're concerned about viable job systems for people and that work within economies that are viable, and you might want to consider some of these parameters I'm showing here and that are obvious that are not mentioned here. I like this. People say count your blessings in church, or I saw this sign at a church going to downtown Denver, and says the way to inherit great wealth is to count your blessings. So I thought that's probably right, but how does that work? And I think it kind of works like this: principal expression of our earthly value. All the components give real value, real blessings, and it's where our worth is, and what we can work from, which is developable and reducible to principal expression. If we had great wealth, dollar bills, is it developable, and is it reducible to principal expression, system-wide outcome? And that's how we manage or counter blessings. And so I thought that was neat. I've heard some talk about from famous sources that I can remember. Physicists theorists saying, there's a reason, a universal reason why there's antimatter, and probably a universal basis for expression basis for black holes. And I think I say it better here. Black hole math is possible within mathematics. Here I have a partial expression of some object, a light object here, a light circle, and a partial expression of some light circle would obviously have a possible result of a principal non-object, or for any object. This is the math logic itself. I'm not using physics so much. It's all viable and possible within Zen mathematics, and it's as they say, a result of our domain, a universe domain of expression. And there are of course other domains of expression, but this is an outcome of that one, and sourced black hole math. We hear the word God used talk about stuff, so I just went nuts somehow. I drew my own outline of God here, and here I have an interesting drawing of blanks with various objects, outlining objects, or based on objects, or basing objects, and it all gives us God somehow. But I took a prayer from the New Testament in the Bible, the Lord's Prayer. Thy kingdom is the power and glory forever. I feel they're talking about Jesus as expressed as Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, as expressed, completely expressed numeric objects, 1 and or 0, can represent forever and ever. Any object series, it can go on forever and represent the functionality. And the power and glory for any amount of multiple objects as expressed. And so on the next slide, I expand on the Lord's Prayer some more. And here is some more statements from the Lord's Prayer in the New Testament of the Bible. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Numeric objects, 1, 0, 1 and 0, 1 and or 0, could represent, as completely expressed, could represent Father, Son, and Holy Ghost in the universe. As completely expressed, they would give a principal expression source. And here another statement from the Lord's Prayer is, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. These principal objects, as I said, as partially expressed, would give tenets to pseudo-systems, pseudo-system tenets of logic, pseudo-domain logic, reducible and expressible, developable within pseudo-domains, also as those principal numeric objects. So I think that could represent what was said in the Lord's Prayer. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as in heaven. Of course, any pseudo-object can be expressed as a complete system also. And so I think this could be represent what that was said by Jesus in the New Testament of the Bible. Now here's some funny stuff, some more. I already mentioned some ideas on systems and or pseudo-systems, expressions giving variations to space paradigms, possibly including our universe and cosmological paradigms. I feel that's definitely the real source to space concepts, and rather than some physical pseudo-domain. I feel this can be documented with finding other pseudo-space domains, other principal and pseudo space domains as viable systems or viable knowledge systems. This is just a funny continuation of that idea. I still have not figured out this space clock artwork, mathematically anyway, or is it mathematically even? It's kind of a take on some of those ideas I've talked about in prior slides about principal numeric object expressions and their variations of expressions, giving outcomes of viable time systems and space systems and so forth, space and time systems, and so this is just kind of having fun with that. Some clock is pseudo expressed, any pseudo expression of some pseudo or numeric principal numeric object, or just a partial numeric expression, or will give some maybe a time expression, and here you could call this a time-space relativity because the principal, it's within principal numeric object 1 outline of a universe, but it's some pseudo expression of that universe time, and like time-space relativity, and just having fun with that. I think it's really cool. Someday I'll have more to say about this. Probably would take too long to talk any further. Okay, today. Here is, I've had this drawing for a long time. It drew some interest at the meetings and conferences I've gone to. But of course, I've worked on it a lot more, developed it mathematically, and so I think it's still additional information as I talk about principal outcome, additional information, reducible and developable, because here I have criteria B and C, any series, multiple paired or singular objects of symbolic objects, which are of course pseudo expressions by definition of their own limited definition, but give any expression, pseudo expression of these, or principal and or pseudo expression of these sheer pseudo symbolic statements, as by the Webster's Dictionary, would give a diminishing return for any pseudo A or principal A system. And it's an important outcome of our current contemporary knowledges, theories, and it's a very serious thing to recognize about our current paradigm of knowledge. And so here it is. Here is a nice drawing of so-called thought experiment. We hear talks about Einstein's famous thought experiments, and they sound pretty cool. I used to think about those. Trying to, just think about them, and but what does a thought experiment consist of mathematically in your head or anywhere? So I just made this up. Just a network system, object network with part of it, the red part being the experiment, and the rest being God knows what else. I don't know how it all goes together, but somehow this has got to make sense. I think this drawing, if thought experiments are thought experiments, and somehow I expect it does. I just thought I'd try to come to terms of thought experiments and mathematics, and how it fits in with any domain, mental domain or physical domain or any domain. I made this artwork quite a while, several years ago, and I didn't know what I was doing. I just said, space math. I know there's space math, and I've since fleshed out a lot of possibilities mathematically, systems-wise, for space math. And so I feel this is still, like I said, additional information. All of my earlier artwork in Zim mathematics, maybe 10 years ago, I still can get meaningful, useful information myself from that. I hope other people can. But I think this has utility as a source to additional space mathematics and mathematics, even though it was several years ago. And I have here intersections of unknown values for principal operational or numeric objects, or pseudo objects, and just pseudo operational expressions within principal operational expressions, and the same with principal numeric expressions within, pseudo numeric expressions within principal numeric expressions. Source to all this space math, and the unknown expression, important operational or expression, systems expression, And I was just thinking about that now. Unknown as a operational expression. I've utilized systems and their subsystems expressions paradigm as a way to document and explain some of this phenomena described in the Bible, Old Testament, and New Testament. Here's a slide showing some of my math describing biblical creation in 7 days, systems 7 days. The systems being more documentable as an object, other than more so than solar days. Documents behavioral object behavior or better, and it's another example of the utility of principal numeric expression of pseudo-numeric expression objects. Principal and pseudo-numeric objects 1 and or 0, 1, 0, and 1 and 0. And this explains a lot of what the phenomena we have observed or try to describe in our history, mankind's history, and biblical history, for one thing. Documents also other biblical numeric phenomena, such as 7 days being holy. And I suggest that in my website that principal object, numeric objects, 1, 0, 1 and 0, 1 and or 0, can serve as a system's primary number, and the correspondence to pseudo numeric objects, primary numbers 1 through 7 for primary numeric objects 1 through 7, and the correspondence to behavior, pseudo and or principal behavior. And this could document the relevance of 7 days being significant and holy. Also, Jesus' miracles can be documented as principal and or pseudo expressions. Earthly Jesus principal expressions plus earthly expressions, such as walking on water and life after death, life and or death. So I think my systems paradigm documents a lot of so-called non-existential or non-documentable, non-mathematically documentable behavior. I feel this is a pretty cool math art piece. Systems and or subsystems, dollar bill, numeric object, principal numeric object 1 and or 0. The dollar tree, the pseudo and or principal dollars tree for economic viability, as expressed within an open domain, as shown on the systems expression outline and with the red plus. Other system pseudo derivatives are possible of the principal numeric objects, 1, 0, 1 and or 0, or 1 and 0, plus other derivatives, principal and or pseudo numeric, principal and or pseudo derivative logic derivatives, as I mentioned earlier in this presentation. And it's a very cool artwork, partly because of I like the art, and I think it's a viable alternative to our economic system. Expression within an open domain with consideration of pseudo derivative possibilities, developable and reducible to principal and pseudo domains. Very, very neat. Very neat. This is a good example of where I come from on my math art. I don't know what the mathematical derivations of this cartoon are, but I just, you get kind of a sense of what I'm talking about, and with my other work, you can get even more sense of what this could mean. Science trying to analyze the universe with looking for signals or the cosmos or anything with his mathematical analysis device, and he finds there's something out there, which basically does not give a lot of new additional information. And maybe he should turn that machine inward, which they do in science, of course. And it's just kind of my caricature of science, and and their methodologies and their outcomes. Okay, next slide. This is a math art example depicting systems in the red, green, and blue, and their system components shown by A, B, C, D, expressed in some kind of operational matrix representation of partial or principal expressions. This highlights the effectiveness of math art in expressing systems math, where variations of expressions are more easily visualized. In history, this effectiveness of art expression was recognized by the existential variations in expressions have been only implicitly and or explicitly recognized. This could be said to represent expression or expressions of physical object or objects, where we could have principal numeric objects 1, 0, 1 and 0, 1 and or 0, expressing pseudo-expressed numeric objects 1, 0, 1 and 0, 1 and or 0, with some like, pseudo, and or principally operational expression. This serves as the expression source to already documented physical phenomena as time, time-space relativity, and gravity, and also the expression source to other possible and viable physical knowledge systems. This humorous cartoon pokes fun at the sciences domain of knowledge development and methodologies. Pseudo-sources of expression utilizing numeric objects 1, 0, 1 and 0, 1 and or 0, giving famous scientific concepts of true, false, success, failure, events, non-events, beginning and end, terminal, infinite. As Einstein said, God may not play dice, or at least pseudo-system dice, but maybe God has available principally and or partially expressed dice available for principal and principal outcome expression. Sim here. I just want to summarize and conclude this presentation as well as I can. There's no conclusion, of course, to creative math. It's all developed and hopefully reducible with principal logic tenets that some of them I've developed already. Also developable and reducible to a principal open domain. Um, so I feel there's never an end. You're never done. You're never done. And if it's reducible as well as developable, it always is giving additional information with principal system outcomes. So there's utility in pursuing this, I guess, if you keep going now. So my next presentation, future Zoom math presentations, I'm not sure where I'll end up with this. Hopefully, new developable and reducible tenets, expressible tenets, new tenets of principal systems, logic or otherwise. And so I feel I've already developed some that I haven't fully developed, and some people know they're there. But that's another possible outcome that I might want to pursue. Thank you for watching this show.